Welcome to Thursday. It's the 29th of July, 2021. The monsoon is deepening. The heat is slowly easing. Everything evolving really slowly this week, but things continue to evolve. Showers and thunderstorms will increase in coverage further east. We had a really good covering of showers and thunderstorms along and west of the Continental Divide yesterday. There were many areas of western and southwestern Wyoming, northeastern and eastern Utah, eastern Idaho, many areas of western Colorado, picking up some heavy rain. Big downpour in Rock Springs, Wyoming yesterday afternoon and evening, where they haven't seen significant rain in, well, a long time. So that monsoonal moisture is coming. If you're east of the divide, you need to be patient. If you're west of the divide, well, the moisture is here. It's going to continue to be warm, but not as hot. Yesterday, triple digits again in many locations, especially in western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming, and eastern Colorado. But we're going to see that ease slowly. Monsoon moisture is likely going to be overhead through the middle of next week before we see this plume kind of get minored out a bit by late next week. But it's going to be rather persistent and overhead for several days in many areas. Flash flooding concerns remain high through the weekend and perhaps into early next week. We have talked about this at times this week, but now that we're getting into the weekend time frame when a lot of folks are headed to the high country and recreating, boy, we're really concerned that we are going to have some flash flooding. We will have flash flooding. I think it's a foregone conclusion, just as a matter of where and when. So folks really need to use some caution and think clearly about where you decide to camp and put yourself adjacent to creeks, rivers, and streams. Not a good idea. Let's take a look at the satellite photo. Now, I'm showing you the same satellite photo I showed you yesterday, but from the eastern side of the satellite imagery. We have two satellites that keep track of North America that goes 16 and that goes 17. 17 has a western angle, 16 has an eastern angle. What I'm showing you here is what's called the water vapor image. The orange and the yellow colors here, that represents where the dry air is, and it just shows beautifully that area of high pressure centered right here. And right along this edge of this high pressure area is where the air is the hottest and the driest. So you can see that the extreme southeastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, western Kansas, parts of Nebraska are still in the drier air, but the high is slowly migrating east. And the satellite is seeing the water vapor in the air deepest in this arch that goes around the high. So yesterday, the line, the demarcation of that drier air was here. So you can see there's been a bigger push east, slowly, very slowly. And we'll continue to see that push east so it looks more like this probably by tomorrow. As that deeper monsoon moisture gets heated, all you got to do is heat it. And also mountains help because the mountains lift the atmosphere as the air moves over it. That extra lift helps form the showers and thunderstorms first over the higher terrain. Then the upper level winds, even though they are weak, will then grab those showers and thunderstorms and then move them out on into the plains. So the genesis, the birthplace of a lot of these showers or thunderstorms in this monsoon pattern start over the mountain areas. And that's why you're always concerned about mountain flash flooding. By Friday, this is by tomorrow, the high pressure is centered more here into Oklahoma. We still have this upper low off the coast, and we have this axis of high pressure that forms right here where the deeper moisture is going to reside. And that deeper moisture, this is as of this morning. See the blue? The blue is you're talking about nearly 200% or more normal water vapor in the air compared to normal. Now, this is really saying something because climatologically speaking, late July and early August, we usually do have this higher humidity air in place. So if you're 200% of that normal, you're talking about a lot of water in the air, and you're going to get gully washers. And we saw those yesterday in western Wyoming and parts of western Colorado, Utah, and Idaho, and into southwest Montana. And that's going to be the case again today. As we go forward, notice that the deeper blue gets a little bit pushed out, a little bit more to the east, when we get this east-west axis, but we start to see that monsoon moisture get more entrenched across Wyoming and northwest Colorado, parts of Utah and Idaho and Nevada, even back into California and Oregon. And that's great news for especially the forest fires. As we go past Friday into Saturday, that moisture gets more concentrated over and near the mountain areas. And this is what I wanted to show you. This is through noon on Sunday. This is the Canadian regional model, which does really well at predicting where the concentration of the heaviest thunderstorms are going to be. And what I wanted to show you is this area right here. This area right here is full of burn scars from recent forest fire activity. Most notably in this area is the Mullen burn scar in the Snowy Range of Wyoming and the Cameron Peak and East Troublesome burn scars in north central Colorado. Then you've got these other areas along I-70 in Colorado that are going to be susceptible to flash flooding. We've already had mudslides this summer because of that. And I think this area right here, you got to be really, really careful between today and Sunday and maybe even into Monday and Tuesday for a high risk of flooding, especially in those burn scar areas, and watch out for flash flooding along creeks, rivers, and streams. As we get elsewhere, you can see that the edge of the moisture is just getting up about to here. We will see better thunderstorm coverage up here early next week in western and southwest Montana. But look at Oregon, look at Idaho. Boy, they really need it, even back into Nevada. And Utah and Arizona still have some showers and thunderstorms, but the deeper moisture isn't here now. It's working its way on the east-west axis more north, which is going to be great news for the really dry areas up north. As we take a look at where this monsoon moisture is by next Tuesday. So this is Tuesday, August 3rd into the 4th. Notice instead of an east-west axis, it kind of gets stood up more vertically like this. Now what will happen, and we've seen this happen before, and prior experience tells us that as this axis of deeper monsoon moisture gets rotated around like this, we're probably early next week, in that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, I'm real concerned about severe weather. We're talking about not only flash flooding, but we're talking about maybe strong to severe thunderstorms moving out onto the plains and front range areas early next week. That's kind of looking out and sticking my neck out a little bit, but just history has shown that that is something to keep an eye on as we go into the first few days of August. By Wednesday, you can see a further eastward push, and notice what comes in behind it. See, the air gets drier again. So that drier air will come in and will limit, it won't erase, but it will start to limit the amount of thunderstorm coverage during the first half, rather the second half of next week. So the first half of next week, we're likely going to stay in a busy thunderstorm pattern. This is what it looks like here over the next 10 days. This is what is called the average of all the models. Basically, you take all the computer models and you average them together. Again, this is a model. Models are not reality. Models are a tool. But you can see the orange and the yellows and the blues and the real concentration of the heavier rain potential over the mountains of Colorado, southern Wyoming. Look at Yellowstone Park, look at eastern Idaho, look at the Wasatch, the Uintas of Utah, and across the really big drought areas that are really impacted right there, especially right here. There's some help on the way. But you can see the concentration of the deeper colors are over the mountain ranges, and that's where you get concerned about too much rain too quickly in some of those high angled areas and the burn scar areas. As we go further out, this is 10 days from now. This is by next weekend. I wanted to show you this. This is just a real typical August pattern. The high pressure migrates back to the west, settles into the desert southwest, but notice there isn't as much pink going further north. The jet stream is starting to be a little bit closer to the U.S.-Canadian border. And yes, next month is August. And I know a lot of you are saying, no, let's not talk about the end of the summer season. I'm not. But as you get further into August, you do tend to see the high pressure ridges have less of an opportunity to poke more north as August and the longer nights and the shorter days up in those northern latitudes slowly but surely start to make a difference. Have yourself a great Thursday. We'll have more on the monsoon moisture tomorrow.